people are so invested in the spine of books that don't belong to them. Can we leave this in 2024, please? Hi, I'm Deb, and it has been about a year or so since I've been here on booktube and made this channel, which is just crazy. But in this year, I have seen some really interesting, shall we call them, habits and observations and trends that happen here on booktube, book talk, and just generally within the bookish community. And some of them are amazing, great, I love it, which is why I'm here. But also, some of it is just, shall we say, toxic. Let's call a spade a spade. Some of it is a little bit toxic, and therefore I think collectively we need to leave it in 2024 and just start 2025 as a much more positive, even though it's a very positive space, but an even more positive, friendly, inviting space to be here on booktube. So these are things that I think authors, publishers, booktubers, readers, all of us essentially need to be mindful about in 2025, starting off very strong with trigger warnings. One more time, trigger warnings. It is going to be 2025. Why do we still need to ask for trigger warnings in books? I don't understand it. It should just be the norm, right? I mean, not every book is going to have topics that are very, very triggering and therefore need to be called out. But if an author is writing a book that they are aware, and a lot of these things that are written are very obviously going to be triggering to some readers, why don't they include them in their books? It should just be a courtesy at this point, you know, especially if it can trigger their mental health or just bad memories or anything to do with trauma. So I am asking, I am begging authors, publishers, please, in the front page or on the front page of a book, just list out the trigger warnings, and people who don't want to look at them can just carry on reading. But those of us who need to be aware that this is something that's going to maybe impact us if we read it, can be aware, and then we can choose to either read it and think, okay, I'm in a good place to read this, or actually maybe not now, maybe, you know, in a bit of time I will pick this book up, or maybe I never will, and that's okay. But we won't know that unless we know what the triggers are, and by the time we've read it, it's too late if there's no trigger warnings. So please, can we get some? And a prime example of this, if you've been here for a while, you will know my beef with this book. And to be fair, I probably should have read the blurb a little bit more to really understand how interesting this book was going to be. And to be fair, personally, there is nothing in this book that triggers me. However, there will most likely be other people who are severely triggered by some of the things that happen in this book. And rather than having a trigger warning in the front page, do you know what is in this book instead? A playlist. I mean, I love a playlist, don't get me wrong, fun. But you thought to put a playlist, you even thought to list all of your other books, but you did not think that a trigger warning list would be helpful. I don't get it. I don't get it. Let's just try and encourage trigger warnings to be put into books. And if you're reviewing a book that you love, it's also really helpful to just be like, by the way, there are these themes in this book, be careful. You know, just be careful, look after yourselves. Okay, this brings me on to my second thing that we need to leave behind in 2024, and that is when a book belongs into a series, can we please make it obvious that this is the second book, the third book, the fourth book, whatever it is? Can we just have it somewhere very easily to see, so I haven't got to get my phone out and Google the book and then see, oh, okay, this is the second book in the series. Sometimes Wi-Fi doesn't work, 3G is a bit slow, 4G, 5G, whatever it is. I can't tell what book order this is meant to be, and I would love it if maybe on the front page or the spine or somewhere it says book 2, book 3, you know, that would be helpful. That would be great. I would love that in 2025. Okay, the third one really bugs me, especially now I work in tech. I'm like, this is not a hard thing to implement, Goodreads. Can you please implement it? And that is 0.25 or 0.5 or 0.75 star ratings. Why do I have to only choose 2, 3, 4? Sometimes it is a 2.75 or a 3.25, but I have to just put 3. And I don't feel like the 3 really encompasses how I feel about that book. And in fairness, I should really get better at writing my reviews down and like remembering why I gave it that rating. So that is something I want to do in 2025, but could you please help Goodreads in making your star system a little bit more wide? And I know Storygraph does this. I love how Storygraph has 0.25, 0.5. It's so helpful, and probably maybe I need to switch over. I think I might need to. Okay, number 4 is about tropes. Now, I am all about tropes. I love tropes. I think they're a really helpful way to know what book you might enjoy. If you're really into slow burns or love triangles, then there are certain books that you're probably going to enjoy and you'll know what to read. But I've noticed that some books are seeming to just throw in super popular tropes because they know they're popular rather than for the development of the story. Now, a very good example of this is Powerless. I feel like Powerless did so well. It was a very popular book, and that probably is because it had a lot of popular themes that people tend to like when they're reading romanticises, and that's fine if it makes sense to the plot, if there's actually some substance to what is happening. I just feel like some books are like, oh, I know, we'll put enemies to lovers, and we'll also put slow burn, and we'll also put fake dating, and we'll also put XYZ just to put it in rather than whether it actually makes sense to the actual story. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. That one is just a little bit of a, maybe we could improve that. If you want to put all of those tropes into your stories, go ahead. People love tropes. People like to read books based on tropes. That is everyone's prerogative to read what you like. Just try and make it make sense to the story rather than just putting it in there because you know people like it. Okay, next. This is something that gets commented on so many of my shorts, and I had no idea this was a thing that really irked people or annoyed people, so much so that they would comment about it. And it's about book spines. Yep, book spines. Apparently it is so offensive. It is absolutely atrocious, rude. Who do you think you are to buy a book with your own money and read it all the way open? That maybe that perfect spine gets cracked. Oh my gosh. Crime, criminal, apparently. Honestly, I will try and find some comments and pop them up around here so you can see how many people are so invested in the spine of books that don't belong to them. Can we please leave that in 2024? In 2023, 2022, 2023, why is it a thing? It just needs to stop. Okay, I think number 6 is going to be a very well understood one because it is so annoying, and it is books that don't match. Now, this can happen for a number of reasons, right? Sometimes the authors only release it in hardback, and so you buy the hardback, but then all of the other books are in paperback, and so they don't match, right? Or for some reason, some authors publish books that are different sizes. So some books are like quite large paperbacks, and then some are quite small, but they're all in the same world. And then the most annoying one is when that book gets adapted into a TV show or a movie, and then all of the books end up having the front cover from that adaptation. I cannot. Why does this happen? This happened with A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, and I was like, oh my goodness me, I am so happy I already have the whole book collection, because that would have irked me so badly to have two in the lovely original covers and then the last one in the new adaptation. Now, to be fair, I have found lots of bookshops still selling the original book cover, but some don't. Some just stop, and then you just are stuck with not the same covers, and it's just so sad. So I would really love, if this is an adaptation of a film, of a show, that's fine, that's cool, but just give your buyers, give your consumers the choice. Do they want the original covers or the new covers? Let them choose. Do not force them to mix and match, please. Okay, number 7 is a big one. It is a really big one. In fact, if we could just do one of these things in 2025, this would be it. This would be it for me. If I hear another person or read another comment of someone saying listening to audiobooks is not actually reading, I will actually blow up, because it is just rude and it is just uncalled for. It is unnecessary to say that to someone, even if you truly believe that, and you are entitled to your own opinion, of course. Why do you feel the need to share that with others? Like, imagine this, right? Two friends talking. Oh, what are you reading? Oh, I just finished reading The Naturals. Oh, cool, me too. I listened to the audiobook, it was so good. Oh, you listened to the audiobook, so you didn't read the book. I'm sorry, did I not consume the same book? Do I not know the same characters as you? Do I not know the plot, the problems, how the characters felt, how it started and ended? We have consumed the same book. We can communicate about the same book. Now, I understand people are saying they're two different skills, right? The skill of reading and visually looking at text and consuming it is a different part of your body, part of your senses that you are using, and your ears when you are listening to the book. I get what they are trying to say, but the teacher in me just has to say no. I disagree. You are still consuming the book, and even if you don't think that the skills are the same or whatever it is that you are so passionate about, why do you have to communicate that with others? Why do you have to tell them when they've told you, I've read a book? No, you haven't read a book, you listened to the book. Why? Okay, number 8 is one that I am so guilty of doing, and I really want to try and stop this. And I think we should all try and stop this, and that is forcing yourself through a book when you should probably have DNF'd it. And I am so guilty of this habit. To me, if I've started the book, I need to follow it through. I think I have FOMO, I have commitment. I don't know, I'm so committed to a book that I'm like, I'm gonna give it a chance and maybe it will get better. Maybe the beginning is slow and it's all in the middle and the end, but let me just tell you guys something. It's just not. You know, in the first few pages, you know deep down if you're going to enjoy this book. There are very little books that I've started off being like, I'm not enjoying this. I've ended up loving it. I can't think of one right now. There might be, there could be. Some books do take time to get into, especially fantasy, when you're doing a lot of the world building at the start. That's fine, I can handle that. But when you're just not enjoying the story, the characters, the plot, cut your losses. It's probably just not going to be the book for you. And I am talking to myself when I say this. Please, Deb, can we leave this in 2024? Please. The next one, and I think again, this is the teacher in me that is very passionate about us doing this, is cartoons on very smutty books. And you know what I'm talking about: Wildfire, Icebreaker, The Love Hypothesis. Now, I've not read Wildfire or Icebreaker, whatever it is. I have read The Love Hypothesis. I thought that was a good book. But if a 12-year-old, a 10-year-old are picking these books up and giving it to their parent because it looks innocent, it looks sweet and cute, and that parent is looking at the front cover, maybe not investigating the whole book, like from the blurb, and sometimes the blurbs don't, let you know it's going to be a bit smutty, and buying that book for their child, it just blows my mind that they are reading these books. There are some comments on some of my videos, like for example, Flawless. I made a short about reading Flawless and thinking like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that kids have read this book. And when I was like, I don't know, 13, I was just reading Pick Up Boy, and there's some kids reading Flawless. And there was someone who commented being like, oh, I read this, I'm 11. And I was like, first of all, how have you found my channel? Second of all, please don't read books like this. Not yet. You don't need it. There are so many better books that you could be reading that are more suitable to your age. So I'm kind of thinking, do we need to start a petition to put like age stickers on books? So parents are like, it's a 18 or a 16. This book is not for children. I don't know. There needs to be something, maybe even just on the front page, suitable for X ages. Is that what we need to do now? Because we do it for films, so should we do it for books? I don't know, but please. I'm so worried for when I have kids and they start reading books. I'm going to be making sure they are suitable for their age. Number 10 is sticking to one genre. Now, this is something that I am trying to break out of. I'm typically a romance / romantasy / fantasy, but like low level at the moment, and then also a bit of thriller. That is kind of like my 4 safe genres. However, I don't want to be in a box. I want to expand my horizons. I want to see what else is out there. And this year I read Tomorrow, Tomorrow and Tomorrow. I think that's a literary fiction book. I would not normally pick up that kind of book, and I gave that book a 5-star. I absolutely love that book. Now, I do now know there are some problematic things that the author has done that I didn't know before I read the books. However, that to one side, I really enjoyed that book and I did not pick it. Toby picked it for me, and I probably would not have read it if it wasn't for doing a buddy read with Nicole from Nicole's Nook. And then I thought, wow, this is great. So I think in 2025, I need to be more open-minded to reading books that I'm just not that comfortable with. Which kind of brings me to my next one, which is being more open-minded and not as terrified as to read humongous books and feel completely intimidated by the size, because sometimes a book needs to set the scene. Sometimes a book has a lot to say, a lot happens, and it needs to be that long. Sometimes it does not need to be that long, but sometimes it does. And I have this thing of like, I can't read it, it's too long, like I'm gonna not be able to finish it. No. I can read it. I can read it, and I'm leaving thinking that bigger books are too intimidating in 2024. 2025, Game of Thrones, Mistborn, I'm coming for you. I'm gonna do it. Okay, the next one I have noticed is happening a little bit more. I'm not sure why, and that is no blurbs on the back of a book. Like, I'll pick up a book and I think this looks interesting. Look at the back of the book, and all that's there is quotes or recommendations from authors or newspapers. And I'm like, oh, cool, great, but what's it about? look at the front page, it's not there. What? How is that a thing? How can you get rid of a blurb? Maybe it's just a few books that are trying this only judge a book by the front cover approach, but it's just not for me. I don't think we should be doing this going forward. I want to know a brief synopsis about what the book is about, please. However, this brings me on to my next point, and that is all about spoilers. Now, I do not mind a spoiler per se, as long as I know it's coming. If you tell me, by the way, I'm going to be talking in great depth about this book, there may be some spoilers, not big ones, but some, and you give me that warning, I'll be like, okay, cool, I know what I'm getting myself into. But sometimes I will read a review that's not marked with spoilers, or I'll watch a video, again, not marked with spoilers, or even said in the video, this might be a spoiler, and I'll just find out something huge, and it is so devastating that it just puts you off even wanting to pick up that book because you just know what's going to happen. So please, if you can, try your best in your reviews, in your videos, just give a little bit of a heads up. It's a spoiler, because there's nothing worse than being so excited for a book and then you find out like the main plot twist or the main, I don't know, development of that book. It's just, it's heartbreaking. And the last thing that I really want to leave behind in 2024 is the feeling of guilt that I sometimes feel when I've not read or not read enough books in a month or however long the time period is. And I think it is so easy to see others who are reading so many books in a month or in a year and think, oh my gosh, I only read X amount and they've read X amount, and think, oh, I'm not a good reader. And that is absolute rubbish. It's just not true. Because the most important thing about reading is the quality of the books you are consuming, how much you are enjoying them, how those books make you feel, how memorable those books are. And that's the kind of books that you're going to talk passionately about and recommend to others and remember, and that just impact you and make you feel a certain way. There are so many books you can read that you just forget the plot in like a week, you know? You just read it, you're like, I don't even remember the character's name. And then there are other books that you will never forget the characters' names because that's how much you loved the characters and the books. And that is what is important, the actual quality of what you've read and not how many you've read. And yes, I am talking to myself, but there might be someone else who needs to hear this, and we need to leave this mindset of more is more impressive and more, I don't know, interesting, because it's not. I would happily listen to someone talk about the one book they read in December if it was an amazing book and I could see how much they enjoy it from their video. That is absolutely fine. But equally, I would happily watch someone who's read 10 books in that month. Each of them are fine, and none of them are better than the other, and that is what I am going to try and remember in 2025. So those are all of the things that I would love to leave in 2024. Let me know if you have any that you agreed with or even disagreed with, or maybe things that you personally want to also leave in 2024 that I've not mentioned, trends or habits that you've noticed. I would love to know. And I might even try and do things that I want to start in 2025 as well, because there are quite a few things of those as well. So let me know if you'd like to see that, and I will see you in my next video. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye.